and I've been bleeding like a gunshot victim for the last 2 hours. But maybe that's foreshadowing for tomorrow, because tomorrow is the 2020 election. And let's just jump right into Adam Guillette from Accuracy in Media, who's been on here before. So we don't need to introduce you. What's happening tomorrow?
My guess is, well, actually, I'll tell you first some background. My financial advisor emailed my wife and myself last week and said he thinks, it's absolutely going to be a contested election. Because of that, we should pull some money out of the market, put it in cash. What do I think? And I responded and said, well, in case you forgot, I work in politics for a living. I follow this election incredibly closely, and I have no freaking clue what's going to happen this week. I did more thinking about it over the weekend, and I read some opinions of folks I respect. And the most compelling argument to me, if anybody has any clue, and I don't think anybody does, but the most compelling argument to me is that it'll likely be similar to what we've seen in the last three off-year elections, the 2017, 2018, 2019 elections. In all three of those elections, particularly 2017 and 2019, you had Republicans getting an incredible record turnout. When you look at the turnout in Kentucky in 2019 versus the Kentucky 4 years earlier, when you look at Virginia in 2017 versus 4 years earlier, the Republicans had much higher turnout and lost because the Democrat turnout was so much even higher still. Their enthusiasm was so much even higher still that it caused the Republicans to lose. You had what was it? Gillespie in Virginia got 100,000 more votes than McAuliffe did 4 years earlier and lost. And in Kentucky, you had a candidate get I forget, it was 200,000 or 300,000 votes more than he did when he won 4 years earlier, and he lost. So I think that's the kind of wave we're looking at, where Republican turnout is absolutely high, but the Democrat turnout is going to be likely higher, I think.
You think so?
Now, obviously, with the swing states of Pennsylvania and Michigan and Wisconsin and Florida and Ohio, it's entirely possible that Biden gets a little bit more of a wave, that he wins by 4 percentage points, and still loses in the Electoral College. That's possible. And I agree with, I think it was Nate Silver who said that if we see Biden losing Pennsylvania, all of a sudden he's the underdog. But the odds of that are so incredibly slim. And it happened last time, but I feel like the odds of that happening again in a tougher scenario are even slimmer.
Yeah. I really can't put a finger on it. I don't know what. I had a guy on, Norman Ohler, an author in Germany, and he asked me the last time he came on in September. He's like, what do you think is going to happen? And I was like, I don't know, man. It seems a little crazy. He asked me 2 days ago. He's like, it seems like it's madness, yeah. And I was like, dude, I have no idea what's going on. And I don't follow. I mean, obviously, you know a lot more than I do. And there doesn't seem to be any distinct, gut feeling or groundswell, or it just seems like it's all smoke and mirrors. I think there is an equal chance that it comes down to the wire, as much as I think there's an equal chance that Biden blows out, as much as I think there's an equal chance that Trump blows out. A landslide on either side, I would be like, yeah, okay, I get it.
I don't think a Trump landslide is particularly likely given the situation.
Yeah,
and I'll tell you, at the beginning of this year, I was certain, especially if the Democrats nominated a Biden, that Trump would cruise to re-election. When you look at post-World War II, presidents running for re-election, quite consistently, the opposing party nominates a poor man's president. Typically a former vice president. The Republicans nominated Romney. They nominated Bob Dole. The Democrats nominated Kerry. These are all poor man's presidents, right? They look like from central casting in a movie, they would play a president. And they always lose. Those types of people always lose. And I said at the beginning of this year, Biden fits that to a T. Biden looks like a poor man's president. And if Biden's the nominee, he's going to lose, because you can't beat somebody with a nobody. And a poor man's president is a nobody relative to the somebody that is the president. And generally speaking, of course, as we see post-World War II, incumbents usually get reelected on the presidential level unless there's exceptional circumstances. With Jimmy Carter, the hostage crisis in Iran, we've had some crazy circumstances. Well, the double whammy of COVID-19 and the violence we saw all summer, I think were such incredible circumstances that it changed the game. And I think if Trump loses, it's because he handled the PR aspect of those in particular very poorly.
Sure. Yeah, it's nothing seems. Man, I'm just realizing I'm sitting here. You're in a ball and suit, and I've got like a Sunday morning sweat. I'm like, man, I need to step my game up.
I have to trick people into thinking I'm important.
It's working for me. It does seem like, I don't know, but part of me thinks that the only thing that I think I pointed to it the last time we did an episode was, as insane as it all seems right now, nothing was crazier than Trump beating Clinton. Like, no incumbent, right? Just going up against beating out Jeb, a Bush dynasty, and then beating out Clinton. So anything that is like below that threshold of insanity, I guess I see anything being possible. But as I'm saying it, I'm realizing that might not be accurate, because this is a kind of different threshold of insanity, right? A pandemic, violence, it's getting a little crazy.
Just because crazy things happen once doesn't mean they'll always happen. That's why they're called crazy things.
That's just true. Very true. Very true.
So, Trump beating Clinton proves that it's possible that, randomly the numbers can go your way. And that was, if you ran that computer projection of that election 1,000 times, Trump loses. To win by narrow margins in those 3 states, to flip Pennsylvania when we hadn't been able to flip it in years, that was lightning striking in a bottle and whatever else. I don't know. Lightning captured, I don't know. It was every euphemism you've got.
Yeah.
Now, again, it doesn't mean it can't happen again. It just means the odds of unlikely things happening, they're always unlikely.
That's very true. That's very true.
It certainly can happen, but it doesn't mean crazy stuff will always happen.
Yeah. It's possible to come back against the Falcons being down 28-3 in the Super Bowl, right? That doesn't mean it's always going to happen. That's a good point.
No, it doesn't mean if you're going to bet your money, I'm going to go with the guy down 28-3. Only a schmuck would do that.
Yeah.
The smart person would say, unless the odds are incredible or something, unless you're giving me whatever in odds, I'm not doing that. And I think it's kind of the same thing in this situation. Yes, it's possible they can come back from 28-3, but how many times are they going to do that?
That's true. But then, just go with this analogy. What if it's the same quarterback? What if it's Tom fucking Brady? And you're like, well, it's a wild card like Trump. Is it something like that, or is it really, hey, it's lightning striking twice? Like,
Tom Brady's probably lost more Super Bowls than any quarterback at this point, right?
Yeah,
even as much as he's won, hasn't he lost at least 2 or 3 now?
9 appearances, 6 wins. Yeah, that's right. 3 losses. So that's probably.
How many quarterbacks have lost 3 Super Bowls?
That's a good point.
Against the Eagles, we were all certain against the Eagles that was going to be another famous Tom Brady comeback. Right. It didn't come off.
Yeah, that's true. And then he got his ass kicked by Eli.
So even somebody like that is not infallible.
That's very true. That is actually very true. It's like Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan's made the most game-winning shots, but he's also missed the most game-winning shots. He holds both records.
Is that true?
Yeah, he holds number 1 for the most, which isn't the most beautiful cliche of like you miss 100% of the ones you don't take. But yeah, he's made the most game-winning shots and he's missed the most game-winning shot opportunities. So
that's funny.
But you're right. I don't know. I really don't know. And I know I'm just kind of beating that horse, but like, I don't know. I'm an idiot. Like, I think if Trump was going to, and I could be eating my words, I think if Trump was going to lose, we'd see him going more and more radical right now. I just feel like that's his persona, that he would go.
Well, you mean like saying he wants a stimulus package even bigger than the ones the Democrats are pushing for?
Tweeting
like
that New Jersey's going to hell.
Debt loan forgiveness and things like that.
Oh, shit.
Are those the kinds of crazy things you're referring to?
That's exactly what I'm referring to. Touche, Adam. Yeah, and didn't he tweet a couple weeks ago? I think you and I talked about this. New Jersey's going to hell. That's insane.
I think we did.
A sitting president said that.
That's on par with Trump for the past couple of years.
That's true.
Positions like all of a sudden saying, I want a bigger stimulus than the Democrats want, and then I want student loan forgiveness. That's... a great reminder that Trump is unencumbered by philosophy.
That's all right. You have forced that right back down my throat. You're absolutely. I didn't know he said that. I also didn't know Sean Connery died till yesterday. So
that was really tragic.
Yeah, so I didn't know he did that. That's insane. Okay, now that makes me think it really is 50-50. Do you think that this is going to go to
50-50? 50-50 is very generous to Trump.
Well, before this, I thought Biden probably had a better chance.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and I don't know how that makes my logic work. because that doesn't work out, right? That wouldn't work out. I gotta
check your math.
Yeah, no, my math isn't working out. Either way,
we could be totally wrong, or I could be totally wrong, and the polls could be even crazier than we thought. But when even Rasmussen shows them struggling in these states,
I tend to believe you.
It's going to be tough.
Yeah, I tend to believe you a little more because mine is all baseless speculation and just opinion. I didn't know he said that he's a bigger stimulus package and student loan debt.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes me think his internal polling says he's screwed. And hey, man, it could. I'm trying to. I think no matter, and again, this is just my nauseating optimism. I think no matter what happens, it's going to be good because if Biden cleans the floor with Trump by just an insane margin, just gets so many people voting, maybe the good that came out of 2020 will be like, it'll kind of bring back the importance of voting, right? It won't be this apathetic, like, did you vote? I don't know, whatever. It's, people are like, I will crawl over glass to vote for Biden, Trump, whoever. Maybe the upside is it's like, it's an insane, like, it's a real world, I guess, like, your vote does matter. It's not just like, whatever, I'm one person out of 350 million. Maybe if Trump gets his ass kicked or vice versa, maybe that's the good that comes out of this, is that we see greater voter turnout in the future. Or again, is this a one-time flash in the pan?
Not to be a contrarian, but I don't necessarily root for greater voter turnout. I vote for our elections to matter as little as possible and have as low stakes as possible.
Okay.
I'd rather live in a world in which the politicians have so little power that who wins the election isn't a life or death matter for us. And I'm more terrified of the world in which every 4 years we elect a new dictator who gets to do whatever the heck they want. So it's incredibly freaking important that my dictator wins. That is the world that terrifies me. I feel better in a society in which people are like, well, whichever of the guys win, it won't affect my life that much. Yeah. That's a happier and more peaceful world to me.
Yeah, that's like, yeah, right? It's not the same as like, well, the Patriots traded away Tom Brady. It would be like, hey, like, they got a new nutritionist. You'd be like, okay.
Yeah. Actually, how much does that really matter? Yeah. I guess it matters.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I would love the president to be on level with the nutritionist for the New England Patriots. I would love to care about them at an equal level.
That is brilliant. I have never thought about that. That is brilliant. It shouldn't be, you're right. It shouldn't, because that is a weakness of America, right? Is that like every 4 years, it's like musical chairs. Like, we have the nukes, we have the biggest army, musical chairs, run around.
Especially these days when Washington doesn't pass very many laws, very many substantial laws anymore. What matters in Washington? Executive orders and judicial appointments and court decisions. That's kind of largely it. Because, we have divided government as much as we've always had it. It's been very rare for the party that holds the presidency to hold the House and the Senate too. That's actually pretty rare, particularly post-World War II. The Democrats had it a couple times in the 70s, and of course the first 2 years of Clinton and the first 2 years of Obama. The Republicans had it even less. It's very rare for one party to have all three parts. But what is also kind of rare, previously they would come together in a bipartisan way and pass laws. Now they don't. Now, I root for the latter. I prefer a government that doesn't pass laws. Just because generally I don't like the laws they pass. So with that in mind, let's go Hippocratic Oath style. First, do no harm. I'd rather they didn't pass laws. So any DC scenario in which less laws are getting passed is a happier one for human freedom, I would generally say.
Okay.
And with that in mind, a Trump presidency with a Democrat Senate and a Democrat House terrifies me because Trump's a deal maker. I think he'll just cut crazy deals to spend money like crazy, do an infrastructure package that's all full of corruption and nonsense. I'm very scared of Trump with the Democrat Senate. Yeah,
I could see him definitely just so it can be, I built the bullet train. I built the nuclear fusion power plant. Who cares? Like, because we'll all bitch about him, running up the debt, and then the next president comes in and it's the new guy's fault. Like, maybe he just runs up like a $20 trillion tab and just...
He's on his way.
Maybe he just bullet trains, loan forgiveness, Medicare for all, new airports, spaceports, we're going to Mars tomorrow, border wall, hell, put one on the north as well. Just do it all, name it all Trump, and then deuces. because he doesn't have to pay back that $20 trillion, right? He's just one guy.
And that's, local politics on a national level. Your local politicians always love doing stupid projects like that so they can go out there for the photo op. They want to spend your money to make it look like they accomplished something. Talk about the Obama phrase, you didn't build that. That's what I feel about every politician who goes to a ribbon cutting for a highway or a bridge or for whatever else, and they act as if they were freaking John Henry out there with a steel driving hammer building the bridge. They don't do anything. They spend your money. They don't even stay in office when the bill has to be paid, and they act as if they accomplished something. I think that's the kind of stuff that terrifies me about Trump is he loves that sort of stuff. He loves to be able to say, I got us to Mars. I got this thing built. I got that thing built. I think he would eat projects like that up.
I think you're absolutely right. I mean, if you look at his real estate projects, right? Imagine if he no longer has to cover the bill. Holy shit. There will be a Trump base on Mars. With the big T, there absolutely will be. He will absolutely, because why not? Why not? He's 74. What does he care, right? Just puts his, I'm the greatest of all time. You're right. Blame it all on the Democrats, and then deuces, I'm gone.
I mean, he'll cut deals with the Democrats to do it. Admittedly, I'm surprised because they've talked about it for the last year or two, getting a big infrastructure deal. I'm surprised that one hasn't happened. I mean, I'm kind of happy, but I'm surprised that they haven't done it yet. But I think in 4 years of Trump, especially if they retake the Senate this time, and let's remember, of course, say Trump wins the presidency and they hold the Senate. And if Trump wins again, they'll almost certainly hold the Senate, I think, because Senate Republicans, at least 4 years ago, outperformed Trump within their states. So if Trump's going to win in Iowa, Joni Ernst is going to win in Iowa and so forth. We might even pick up the Senate seat in Michigan if Trump wins Michigan. So say we hold the Senate. Well, we'll still likely lose it in 2 years. The party holding the presidency generally loses seats in the midterm elections. So guaranteed almost the final 2 years of the Trump presidency, you'd have a very Democrat Senate or a very Democrat House and probably a Democrat Senate as well. And who knows where that ends up. And generally speaking, the final years of presidents in their second term, they're not always that pretty. You think of the final years of the Bush presidency. My gosh, that was a miserable, dark, depressing, stimulus-filled time. That didn't end well. Even Reagan's, final few years, great on foreign policy, wonderful with what he was doing for the Cold War in his second term. Not as great in domestic policy. I think they had a tax increase in his second term, and you even had some scandals coming out with the Iran-Contra scandal. So the second terms of presidents don't generally go swimmingly well anyway. And they generally also don't go the way you'd expect them. So, what I will say is if you're a Trump fan and I'm making you depressed because you think now he might lose, you're not missing out on as much great stuff as you think you might. And if the Republicans hold the Senate, a Biden presidency isn't going to be as horrible as you think.
I tend to think that none of it's ever going to be as good or as bad as I think. Right?
That's exactly right.
Because
exactly right.
When I look at like my siblings or friends who are, I'm admittedly more right, they're admittedly more left. When I look at them freaking out about Trump, I'm like, dude, it's not like, sure, like generally life kind of sucks, but I'm like, dude, come on. It's like, how much has life really changed? Well, then the inverse must be true, right? If I'm like, oh no, Biden's gonna win and the commie left, like, what's really gonna happen? I'm gonna keep doing podcasts. I'm gonna keep going to the gym. I'm gonna watch Rick and Morty, and then a whole lot's gonna change, right?
Were you irreparably harmed by the 8 years of the Obama administration?
No.
And I got no love for Obama. I hate Obamacare. I hate, a lot of the things that he did.
Nothing.
But thankfully, these things, as bad as they are, don't affect our lives quite as much as we always think they're going to.
Actually, I did spend 2009 to 2013 7 days a week getting into medical school. And a big reason that I was insanely upset was that Obamacare got passed because I was like, I don't want to deal with this shit. But that's not a very common example. Generally, no.
But that's a legitimate, concrete example. But still, the way we hear these things portrayed, when you watch the trailer for the Dinesh D'Souza Obama films, you'd think that'd be, chaos and anarchy and, dogs and cats and all that crap and, nutty apocalyptic stuff. And thankfully, it doesn't get quite that bad, especially if you divide a government. I always love to point out that the final 6 years of the Obama administration had the lowest levels of federal spending increases since Coolidge because of the sequester.
That's insane.
Now, other bad things happened, and bad judges got appointed and everything. But like you said, it's never going to be as great as you think it'll be, and it's never going to be as bad as you think it'll be.
Yeah. Maybe that is the beauty of it. is it's all show, and we get to think that it's going to be insane, and we all keep cheering. Meanwhile, a bunch of defense contractors are just running off with trillions of dollars.
Yeah.
Maybe that's just, hey, just keep it going. Who cares, right? Keep the status quo going. Let's say Biden wins, right? Good chance he will. How long is he in there? Do you think that he drops dead and Kamala takes over?
No, I think there's not a chance. There's so many tropes that
come
out.
He's easy. He's a Trojan horse. Yeah, right.
Yeah, we hear that kind of stuff every 4 years. First off, every 4 years we hear this is the most important election
of our lives.
Usually because of the Supreme Court.
Sure.
That's usually the reason why. And the Supreme Court is important. Most elections are important, but they can't all be the most important election ever.
Yeah.
Then every 4 years we hear, is the incumbent going to change his vice president? I bet the incumbent might change their vice president. That one comes out pretty much every 4 years. We're also told in the primaries that this dark horse candidate is going to come out of nowhere, swoop in and win the thing. There was General Wesley Clark, who was going to come in and he was going to be unstoppable for bringing down George Bush in 2004. This time it was Mike Bloomberg. We're always told some dark horse is going to come in and win the primary. Yeah. The same tropes come out every 4 years. Yeah. It's so cheesy. Yeah. And then the notion that, who's really pulling the strings at the White House? Yeah. Is it X person or is it Y person? Well, the people controlling Biden are going to do da-da-da. Yeah. It doesn't work that way. Biden is surrounded by people who he picked. They're his cronies. Yeah. Nobody's controlled by their cronies. Yeah. They can can their crony and put in another one.
Exactly. Yeah. It's everyone that thinks that Biden is dementia or is insane, or the same people that say that Trump's facade of stupidity is a brilliant act. Well, it has to be one or the other. Either Trump is doing a perfect madman act, and if he is, then you have to consider that Biden is doing this perfect, old man, whoops, I forget my name. And if that's not true and Biden's actually senile, then you have to entertain that Trump is mentally retarded. It's one or the other, right? It can't be both conspiracies. And I tend to think that the billionaire and the former vice president, neither of which are stupid. Or neither are stupid.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I hate when people are like, Trump's a moron and an idiot. And I'm like,
what are you?
Like, he's a failed real estate developer. And I'm like, how many real estate developers that you know of, still have so many buildings that don't seem to be shut down with his name on it? Yeah. In addition, became best-selling authors. In addition, had a reality television show that ran for a bunch of seasons. In addition, ran for president and won. Like, if Trump's really this miserable failure, I wish I was such a failure. Yeah. And let's all judge ourselves by that standard. If a miserable failure did these things, and we in our careers haven't done a fraction of that, what are we? You know? And similarly
same with Biden. He's stupid.
He's had a lot of success. He's been in politics for quite a long time. They haven't been able to bring him down. In a state that Republicans do win, that Republicans do occasionally win statewide races in Delaware. It doesn't happen often, but it does happen. Yeah. He's not a complete idiot. Yeah. I think he's always a little bit ditzy, a little bit scatterbrained, but he's not in massive dementia. He showed it in the second debate. He's a career politician who could deliver scripted lines fairly well. Yeah. When he's off the cuff, he's a bozo. I got news for you. That's most career politicians.
Yeah, that's Trump. Trump. Let's not, Biden. If you don't vote for me, you ain't black. Let's not forget Trump. Hey, Mexicans are rapists. Like, holy shit. Like, don't forget that one, right? I tend to think that the vice president for Obama isn't stupid. The guy who's in charge of distributing the stimulus bill, or TARP funds in 2008 with record low corruption numbers. I tend to think that guy's not stupid, right? And again, is he a stupid, senile old man, and at the same time, he's a Machiavellian guy doing dealings with Ukraine? Which is it? Is he the man behind the curtain, or is he just, I don't know where I'm going, I'll happily pay you for a burger tomorrow? Which one is it?
And both sides make that argument every time. They'll simultaneously say their opponent's a moron, but he's also an evil, diabolical James Bond villain level genius. Yeah. Like, you don't get to have both.
Yeah.
But I think most career politicians are Joe Biden in a nutshell. Yeah. They're ugly actors. They're delivering scripted lines off the teleprompter. If they were better looking, they would do that in Hollywood. They're not, so they do it in D.C. And when they have to go off the cuff, they sound like your local news TV anchor in the final 30 seconds of the show when they somehow had extra time.
Yeah.
The two anchors are, off script and chatting to one another, and it's like Ron Burgundy.
Yeah.
They don't know what to say. They're
That's
like, what these guys are.
Yeah, go fuck yourself, San Diego. It's like, holy,
That's
right?
exactly it.
Yeah, right.
They're following the teleprompter. As soon as there's no teleprompter, they don't know what the heck to do. And that's Biden. That's most career politicians.
What is he doing? He's hitting he's like, I'm going to punch you right in the ovaries, right in the baby maker.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
So now we did the if Biden wins, right? If Biden wins, he's just going to win, and it's just going to be a presidency. It's not, and then Kamala takes over, and vice versa. If Trump wins, Trump isn't going for a third term, and he's also not suspending the election. But does this go to the Supreme Court?
I mean, I think the odds of that are pretty slim.
Really?
The only weird thing that could be is if, let's say Pennsylvania is the difference between victory and defeat for both candidates, and they've got crazy mail-in voting issues, and there's legal, disputes because of that. Certainly a possibility. Then you could see something like that.
Okay.
But probably unlikely. Doesn't mean it won't happen, but it's probably unlikely. I think better money is probably on Biden winning most of these states by a wide enough margin that we don't have to wait on mail-in votes. If Biden's narrowly winning, Pennsylvania, and the Trump people know the mail-in votes aren't for them, I can't see them suing and contesting everything to go to the Supreme Court, unless they really just want to sow the seeds of doubt in his election or something. But I don't know. I would say possible, but unlikely.
Yeah. Now, what is just let's just embrace the fear porn. What is the worst thing that can happen tomorrow?
Oh gosh.
Let's just play with that.
I mean, Biden winning and them taking the Senate is a dangerous, scary situation. Biden's not a crazy radical, but if legislation comes out of the House and Senate, if legislation comes from Schumer and Pelosi, he's probably signing it. And those are two crazy radicals pushing crazy radical ideas. And if they get it with a 50-50 split and, Kamala Harris gets to cast tie-breaking votes, that might not be as dangerous because people like Joe Manchin might be scared to vote with them on things like court packing. But if they end up with 51, 52 Senate seats, that's a 2008 scenario, 2008 to 2010, where they got Obamacare and crazy stuff done. Okay. That's a really bad, dangerous, scary scenario.
Okay.
Now, the best thing to think of that, of course, is we know it'll only last 2 years.
Sure.
Because the Democrats always overplay their hand. And in the midterms in 2 years, we would take back the Senate and probably gain a bunch in the House. But that's 2 years where a lot of bad destruction could occur.
Sure.
But as long as they don't a court pack, they're going to be somewhat limited in what they can do. And those 2 years might not be quite as horrible as they could otherwise be.
Yeah.
Court packing is just the thing that really scares me.
Yeah. Court packing seems like the dumbest idea because it's whatever you can do will now be done to you the next time the quote-unquote other side wins. And then we're just going to have a Supreme Court of 500 people.
I mean, that's kind of how it's been since Bork to a degree. But although I don't say they go to an 11-person court, I don't see the next Republican going to a 13-person.
I think it will.
I don't think they'll keep escalating. It's hard to guess that far into the future, but that would really be a very dangerous, scary scenario. And I'll tell you what, the thing is, even though polling numbers show that most Americans are against court packing, on the list of issues that the average American has a care about, court packing is slightly below who's playing on Monday Night Football tonight. It's not an issue.
I didn't know it was a thing.
They don't get it. It's wonky. It's in the weeds. The economy, COVID, violence in the cities, jobs. These are things people care about each and every day and think about. They don't necessarily think about the makeup of the Supreme Court.
Oh, God, the court packing.
Yeah, they don't understand.
Yeah.
So even if they're against it, I think that's a gamble the Dems would take because they realize the blowback wouldn't be near as bad as the blowback from Obamacare.
Sure. That's true. Yeah, you're right. It seems like a new term. Seems like there's a new just buzzword every election, right? It's were they properly vetted? Do we know about them? And it's just I don't know, right? Romney, 47%.
Supreme Court reform, every other minute. I don't know why a court that's been this way since the Civil War is in need of reform, but that's how they're going to frame it.
Yeah.
Biden said he's going to have a bipartisan committee that's going to come back with recommendations. We know exactly how that's going to go.
Yeah.
They're already framing it. The question is if they have enough Senate seats to do it, if they can get people like Manchin on board, if they need people like Manchin on board.
Yeah. Now, I've got you for one more minute.
All right.
What if Biden wins the popular, but Trump wins the electoral? Are we going to see people's heads explode?
Board up your windows. It's going to be ugly.
Lock and load.
I mean, it's going to be ugly in very many cities. If Trump wins in any scenario, if Trump wins in a landslide, I really fear the violence that we're going to see.
That's not good, though. That's not good. That a possible opportunity of someone winning results in violence. Like, that's not good.
That's terrible.
Right?
And I'll tell you similarly what's not good. The Trump supporters who supposedly were shutting down highways in New York and New Jersey.
I saw that. That infuriated me.
Yes, we're all mad when the leftists do that. We shouldn't do the same kind of nonsense. We don't need to be hypocrites.
Get out of here with that bullshit. Yeah, shut it down. No. I would laugh at the same videos of them getting hit by cars as I do when I see Antifa getting hit by cars. I would be like, get the fuck out of the highway. It's
no business doing that in America. Highways are for getting to work and stuff. It's not even like people are on a leisurely Sunday drive and they have nowhere to be. If you're on the interstate, you're probably going somewhere for a reason. That's not a place for you to do your political nonviolent protest. And both sides need to be consistent on this. If you're a leftist who says it's okay when the idiot leftists do this, you need to look the other way and be quiet right now. And if you're a right-winger who's slammed to the left for it, you should be slamming these Trump people. If that's really what happened, you should be slamming them for it. There's no reason for any side to be doing political violence to advance their beliefs. It's unacceptable.
Perhaps the only middle ground we can all agree on that will heal this nation is if you protest in a highway, you have no legal rights. That'll be we can all get together on that, and that's how we'll rebuild the nation. But I said I would let you go, and tomorrow's the election. So Adam Guillette, Accuracy in Media. Thank you so much, my man. It's always enjoyable.
Thank you so much for having me. Have a great week.
All right, buddy. Godspeed. Stay safe. God bless. And everybody, hide your kids, hide your wife, because tomorrow's gonna be crazy. I'll see you, buddy.
Dead giveaway.
Peace.